What's going on, everyone? I want to start this video with just saying thank you to everybody that subscribed, liked, commented on the last video. So yeah, if you guys could just bear with me for the first couple videos as I get used to all this, that'd be great. But today I want to go over everything we got going on. I ended up installing the Diff. It is the 350Z Diff with the CAS two-way in it. To get the Diff installed onto the S14 subframe, we used the GK Tech conversion kit. It's a solid mount that's like offset by 2 millimeters, so I would suggest having someone with a press do it. Along with just the Diff bushing, I went with their Diff brace as well. I unfortunately have to cut their gussets that they sell, GK Tech. It won't fit if you have the reinforcement gussets. So just had to cut out a square of it so that the bracket could fit. On top of also getting the Diff all set into the subframe and everything, we got some work done on the motor and everything's coming along really nice. Now the valve cover is actually on there, secured down. I'm just using these old coil packs as just placement holders so that nothing falls into the spark plug wells. Same thing with this oil cap, I'm ordering a different one. Everything's coming along really nice. I installed the Billet TFWorks coolant neck. They actually upgraded mine and sent me the speed bleeder, so shout out to TFWorks. I also got the Skunk 2 timing cover on. Everything is basically ready to go with the motor. The next step is to be putting on the TFWorks oil pan, which I do have right down there. After the oil pan's put on, we're going to be putting on the ZF 5-speed transmission. I'll be using the TFWorks adapter kit along with their trans mounts. Like I said, before we do the transmission, we have to install this beautiful piece that I got. This is the TFWorks oil pan for rear-wheel drive cars. This is specifically for the S14. This is my first time seeing it as well, guys, so let's go. Here it is, the TFWorks Kswap oil pan. From what I know, pieces of this are billet, like this piece is definitely billet, and then the rest is aluminum. This is the other side of the pan, and as you can tell, this thing is absolutely sick. I ended up opting for 2 1/2-inch MPT bungs. Do I need both? I'm not sure yet, but I just figured the more I have, the better. It also comes with a 1/8 MPT for a sensor, and these baffles in here are just insane. Along with that, they also included that they pressure tested it, they did a baffle test, and that the flange is flat. I love that they put that, so I do know that it was QC'd properly. Now with the oil pan ready to go, we are going to be installing it onto the motor. With the K24s, they have these 2 studs on each side that you have to remove or the oil pan won't fit. So we are going to take those out right now and then get the oil pan on. So like I said, on the bottom of the K24, there are these studs you have to get out. So we ended up using painter's tape to tape off the surface so we don't scratch it for the oil pan. Just grabbed some vice grips and broke it loose. So we're just going to do that on this side, do that on this, and then oil pan should be ready to go on. Both studs are now out on both sides. We cleaned off the RTV or Honda bond that was in there. So now we just need to Honda bond up the oil pan. We're just going to do a thin layer all the way around, get that going, and put it back on the motor. All right, now all the Honda bonds on. We got it on a thin, even layer everywhere around the whole pan, evenly on each side. So now we're going to take it, put it on here, let it sit for like 2-3 minutes, and then bolt it all down.
Honda bond.
Okay, so pan is now installed. We followed the TFWorks instructions, the pattern that they have for the torquing sequence. So that is all done. For these front 3 right here, we had to use a little shorter screws that we ended up finding that were the same thread pitch. So we got those down. They're tricky to get into, but with just a wrench you can get them. So next we are going to tackle the motor mounts. These are the TFWorks motor mounts for the Kswap. So with the bracket down here, when it is bolted in, and you try to push the mount down to where the location would be at, it is hitting my steering rack because I moved the steering rack forward. So we are going to have to take a little bit of measurements and just make some adjustments to this mount. On the mount, we are going to have to shave right there down where you see the rubbing and a little bit right there. So we're going to try to get the least amount we can down. All right, so the motor mount's all ready to go. We just basically took some material off. We didn't have to cut a hole or anything, so that works out great. We retest fitted it and it clears everything. So now we're just gonna mount up the motor mounts to the motor. And then from there, we're just gonna test fit it and see how everything else fits. Just wanted to say a heads up that I am using a heater because it is cold here, so it might be, the audio might be off, but we did end up getting the motor mounts on. So we got the driver and passenger side one on. In addition to getting these on, I ended up being able to add in the subframe spacers. Right here, you can see the subframe spacers in there. They're from TFWorks. They space it about 7 millimeters, so you're able to clear the hood. I also want to point out that we had to disconnect the front sway bar to give us clearance for the oil pan. So we unbolted that, let it sit, and now we are going to take the motor and test fit it right in there. So here we go. Unfortunately, yesterday when we were recording, the GoPro decided to die. So we did end up test fitting the motor, and there is one issue that we ran into on test fitting it. So I have relocated my rack forward like a lot of people do with the S chassis. The original issue we were having was we were rubbing against the steering rack right there for that side of the motor mount. We cleared that all up, but now the issue was we were rubbing against this bolt right here on the oil pan. So I went ahead, you can see how this one's like a lot taller than this one. I went ahead, shaved the top of this bolt down. So we're gonna end up retesting it, making sure that that fits. Before we actually test fit again, we're gonna get the transmission put on. We figured that putting it on will give us a better test fit so we don't have to pull and put on multiple times. So first we're just gonna take this rear main seal out and then do the whole clutch and everything. So the rear main seal's on, so now we're gonna move on to the plate adapter. We got instructions from TF right here, so we're just gonna go ahead and follow these step by step. The first one is to take out the dowel on the intake manifold side. Okay, so we got the dowel out. The instructions say that you should use a torch or a bolt extractor to get it out. I just used vice grips and it came right out within like 10 seconds, so give that a try first. Okay, so now we are going to move on to the next step, which is install the starter and mock up the plate, so we'll get that done right now. To make this easier, we're going to install the adapter plate first. This is the adapter plate from TFWorks that comes with their kit. So since I'm going to be using the BMW ZF 5-speed, this is the one that they sent. So we're going to get this unpackaged. It also came with a whole hardware kit and nice instructions on how to install it all with torque specs and everything. So we're going to get that plate adapted onto there and then get the starter and then show you what to do from there. Up cutting, and then we attached a grinding wheel to it, and then we got it down perfectly exactly where we needed it. So we cleared that out good. Now we just got to take the transmission back off and add the flywheel and the whole clutch adapter kit, and then I'll show you all the steps of that. And then once that's done, we can just bolt the transmission back in and this thing will be ready to put in the car. We got the transmission back off, following the instructions from the TFWorks kit. we are going to torque the flywheel bolts down to 87 foot-pounds. I ended up getting their twin disc kit. So this is the whole clutch assembly and all that, and this is their flywheel that we're going to be using. With the flywheel, they include the Honda flywheel bolts. So we're going to be using these with some Loctite, and we're going to get this on right now. Like I said, we're going to get this flywheel on. We are using red Loctite right now on the bolts. Everything's torqued down to 87 foot-pounds according to the manufacturer's specs. So now we're going to install the clutch. It is a twin disc, so we're going to go ahead, open this up, look at these instructions as well for the torque specs, and then get this on. So this is the TFWorks twin disc clutch. It comes with a nice alignment tool. This is the flywheel side, so if we flip it over, you can see the pressure plate side. So we are going to take this right now and get it matted up to the flywheel, and I will show you that and all the torque specs that go along with these bolts. We're just cleaning off the stickers that were on there, but we are going to use blue Loctite to get this on. The instructions didn't say exactly the torque spec. It said to follow the instructions that came with the clutch. There were no instructions with the clutch, so TFWorks actually has a nice video online explaining how to install it all. And on their video, they said it's 22 to 24 foot-pounds of torque. So we're gonna get this thing on, put some blue Loctite on it, and torque it down. Okay, the twin disc is now installed. Torqued down everything to spec. We're using some blue Loctite. Looks absolutely amazing. Now to take out the alignment tool, and now it's ready for the transmission to be put on. Transmission is basically ready to go. It is over there. Refreshed up some things on there. Just had to put the throwout bearing and fork back in, and the transmission's ready to go on, and then everything is ready to be put back into there. When putting the ZF on with the twin disc, the clearances are really tight. So we're having to lube up the shaft and then be able to slide it in. A couple ideas that we got recommended was to get it all lined up right, put 2 bolts in and slowly drive it through. But we're gonna work on this and document it as we go. After a while fighting with the transmission, we finally got it matted up to the adapter plate. What we ended up doing actually was we used a ratchet strap and we wrapped it around the back right here, and I wrapped it around the front of the motor. That allowed us to evenly line it up, and we slowly pulled it in with the ratchet straps until we were able to get this bolt and then the bolt on this side in, and then we slowly pulled it in with the bolts as we were able to put in the other bolts, and then we just slowly tightened them down by hand, really slow, going around in a star pattern to make sure it evenly went in, and that's the finished product. So the transmission is now fully matted up, everything's torqued to spec, and now all we got to do is put the trans mount on and get it back in here. Once it's in here, test fit, measure the drive shaft, and that will be the end of this video. So let's get into that so that we can finish this up. With the TFWorks kit, with their transmission mount for the Kswap, this is the bracket for it. They send out stock transmission mounts, which usually is not an issue. People run them all the time. I just want something a little more stiffer, so I got their 80A poly bushings. So we're going to be installing those with the transmission. We actually did get the motor put back in. The camera was having issues, so I didn't get it. The one issue we ran into was I'm hitting the bolt on the rack on this side. I don't know if that's for me moving the rack forward or not, but we'll take care of that. We just wanted to get back in with the trans on, make sure everything lines up. It does. So we're just going to be pulling it up just a little bit so we could shave that bolt down. I'll get that on video for us. And then from there, we are going to just tape off the motor basically and paint all the areas that aren't black. And then put the motor back down, bolt it in, and that will be a wrap for this video. So let's dive into that and get that bolt done and get the transmission bracket on, and we'll be all done. As I said, we were going to pull the motor up a little bit to get that bolt shaven down. So we went ahead and did that. I showed this earlier in the video and we shaved it down, but I guess it wasn't enough, so we shaved it almost flush right there. So now that that's done, we're just going to wrap the motor up, get the sway bar out actually, wrap the motor up, and then spray the areas that need to be sprayed black, let that dry, put the motor back in, and we'll be all set. To paint the motor black, I just went ahead and used the same stuff that we use on the interior, which was the Rust-Oleum satin. It actually ended up coming out way better than I expected. All right, guys, so here we are next day, and the motor is finally in the car. It came out basically exactly how I had it pictured in my head. I'm super excited. It was a bit challenging to get in there, but me and two of my friends were able to get it done. So it's all bolted down, everything's torqued. I got both mounts in. I put the new 80A poly mounts from TFWorks in on the transmission side, so that's taken care of. So everything's all bolted up, everything's all ready to go. Cage is painted, that's in another video. So basically, car's ready to go. Now it's just time to gather all the parts I've been ordering for the past 2.5 years. With that being said, I just want to say thank you guys for being patient throughout this whole video. I know there were probably a bunch of things that were missed, should have been said, should have been recorded. I was having camera issues. I'm still getting used to not coming out here and just working right away and having to grab my camera, record things. So yeah, just hope you guys are enjoying the content. I hope you guys like the build just as much as I do. It's coming along sick. The TFWorks kit was absolutely amazing, from their oil pan to their mounts to just every part of the process. Super straightforward. Transmission stuff like the adapter plate, the twin disc clutch, everything. It was great. So shout out to them. Shout out to everybody who messaged me along the way, helped me out. This is a big step. Haven't had a motor in the car for 2.5 years. So thank you guys, and hope you guys stay tuned. Like always, like, comment, subscribe, share, do whatever you got to do, and see you guys in the next video.